My name is Nonima Dikela. Welcome to my YouTube channel. So today I want us to talk about Tubaloi before we do anything else. Let's talk about Tubaloi and the things that happened in that courtroom yesterday. So we saw Tubaloi starting to rebuild the case live in court yesterday. He was busy doing Gininda's job in front of all of us, in front of everyone, and it was cringe. I don't know. Does he think that all South Africans are people that are stupid? Are people that don't see him for what he is? Are people that are unable to catch on when he's doing his shenanigans? I don't know. Now, in the sense of Maywa trial, something extremely dangerous happened in plain sight, and most people perhaps missed it because what we were watching was no longer just a prosecutor leading evidence. No, it was Advocate Baloyi trying to rebuild the investigation live in court, and the reason for that because the foundation underneath Brigadier Bongani Gininda is shaking. So, ladies and gentlemen, Baloyi is no longer merely prosecuting, he is also investigating live in court in real time. That's what we saw. And if you were paying attention during the latest testimony, you saw exactly what the state was trying to do. Because suddenly, nicknames mattered, family structures mattered, who knows who mattered, where people stayed mattered, who called who mattered, and old statements are suddenly being revived again. That is not accidentally, that is a strategic courtroom reconstruction in real time. That's what Baloyi did yesterday when it comes to Umbekiseni. And the moment the alleged statement of Absalom Zungu started collapsing under scrutiny, the state entered survival mode, Kesana, because instead of strengthening the prosecution, that statement created more problems. Questions exploded everywhere. Who actually authored the statement? Was it properly adopted? Was it informed? Was information fed to witnesses? Why does Gininda appear in almost every evidential stream? Were witnesses independently sourced, or was the investigation building one giant self-confirming narrative? What was going on? And that is where the panic started for Baloyi. He is panicking. I don't care who says what. He is panicking. Because once the defense began attacking, once the defense began attacking, that's when Baloyi was not seated well now. Okay. Now the state suddenly had a problem bigger than contradictions, because now once the defense started to attack that origin of the information, that is where things went left for Baloyi. They had a credibility crisis. Now watch carefully what Baloyi does, or what Baloyi did there. He calls Mbekeni, and instead of simply asking narrow factual questions when he's saying Mr. Danzi, Baban Danzi, he starts constructing an entire social map. He wants family connections, identity confirmations, relationship structures, geographical movements, allies of people, and community links. Why was he doing that? Because the state is trying to create what lawyers call corroborative architect. That's what he was busy doing there. He wanted the judge to eventually say different witnesses independently referred to the same people. But here is the nuclear problem for him. What if those witnesses are not independent? What if the same investigative machinery produced all these narratives? That is the battlefield now, because the defense is basically saying, you are not corroborating independent evidence, you are recycling contaminated information. That's what Ramsipile are trying to show there. And ladies and gentlemen, if you can see what Ramsipile was trying to do by calling Umbekiseni, he was saying, let's take the source, the so-called source information, and put him here on the stand and hear from him. Did you tell Mr. Zungu Senior all this information? We already knew that Mr. Zungu Senior said, I know nothing about this. I never spoke to Nombekiseni like that. And instead of Baloyi getting what he wanted, he corroborated things for this defense. He corroborated things that were said by Ubabu Zungu regarding Mbekiseni. He aligned people. I don't think he understood what he was doing there. And now that changes everything. There is the Gininda problem here. This is where Brigadier Gininda's shadow is hanging over the entire trial. Everywhere you turn, Gininda took the statement. Gininda interpreted the information. Gininda linked the suspect. Gininda drove the investigation. Gininda authenticated documents. Gininda connected the timelines. Gininda appears in the chain again and again and again. It's Gininda everywhere. At some point, the defense is going to ask, where does the investigation end? And where does Gininda's narrative begin? Because at some point, we need to understand Gininda, that what is happening here? Why is Gininda everywhere? Do you understand? Because if one investigator becomes the collector, the interpreter, the analyst, the verifier, and the narrator, then independence becomes a serious issue. And Baloyi knows this. Baloyi knows this. That is why he was now trying to use the witness to strengthen the framework before Gininda returns. He knows this because when Gininda comes back, the defense is going to go nuclear on him, and Baloyi knows this. Let me tell you what Baloyi's real mission is here. He is trying to repair the investigative foundation retroactively. That's why I say he thinks people are stupid. He must think people are stupid. Listen carefully to this. What should have happened years ago during investigation is now happening live in court. That is extraordinary. Baloyi is now effectively doing background verification, association map, contextual linking, witness alignment, and narrative reinforcement. That's what he is busy doing there. That is investigative work, guys. And the reason it feels uncomfortable to many observers is because it creates the impression that the prosecution is still building the case instead of merely presenting a completed one. That is where problems are right now. That perception is dangerous, very, very dangerous, because criminal trials are supposed to test an investigation, not become the place where the investigation is complicated, or not the place where the investigation is also completed. It can't be complicated and completed inside the courtroom. No, that cannot happen. Now, then that's the target. Let's talk about that. Now, let's talk about the bigger target here, which is Bongani Sanderson Ndanzi. Because this latest strategy appears designed to tighten the pressure around Ndanzi specifically. Notice how names get repeated, relationships get repeated, locations get repeated, and older allegations keeps resurfacing through new witness. Why is that happening? Because the state wants future argument ammunition. They want to later stand up and argue this witness confirmed aspects of earlier information. That is where this is going. That's what Baloyi is doing there. Baloyi is trying to create cumulative pressure. But again, the defense has already prepared its counterattack because their response will be corroboration means nothing if the source material itself is contaminated. That is why sometimes we will ask, is Baloyi okay upstairs? Boom, right there. That is the defense collapsing the entire situation. That is the collusion coming. And Baloyi does not see it that way. He has his own illusion about how things are going to pan out. Now, the defense strategy, that is why the defense keeps obsessing over originals, authorship, dates, handwriting, who was present, who spoke first, and who introduced names. That's why we are there. People think these are small technical fights. They are not. Those things are actually about one massive question. Did the investigation contaminate its own evidence stream? Because if the witnesses were exposed to police narratives, shared information, repeated names, or investigative assumptions, then suddenly what appears to be corroborated becomes secular reinforcement. And once a court starts seeing secular reinforcement, reasonable doubt starts growing, and it grows fast. Now, there is a bigger danger in here. The state is working on extremely dangerous ground now, because the more they attempt to rescue earlier witnesses through later witnesses, the more the defense can argue that the prosecution is patching holes in real time. And once criminal trial starts looking like that, it starts looking like repair work, public confidence starts shifting. That is why every single question now matters. Every timeline matters. Every contradiction matters. Every statement origin matters. Every police interaction matters, because this trial is slowly transforming from who killed Senzo Meyiwa into can the investigation itself be trusted? And these are two very different battles. So when people ask, what is Baloyi doing? The answer is simple. He's trying to reinforce the structure before Geninda returns. He's trying to build corroboration. He's trying to strengthen the investigation chain. He's trying to create cumulative evidential weight, but the defense sees something completely different. They see contamination, narrative recycling, procedural weaknesses, and an investigation trying to confirm itself. And right now, guys, that is why the courtroom no longer feels like ordinary prosecution. It feels like collapsing investigative structure trying to hold itself together before the next earthquake arrives. Because when Geninda returns, everything comes back into focus. The statements, the timelines, origins, the contradictions, the missing independence, and the question that refuses to die. Was this investigation discovering evidence or manufacturing confirmation? And that could be the decider that could decide the future of this entire trial. And Ubaloyi knows this. What are your thoughts when it comes to all of this? Let's talk in the comment section. I want to hear your views. Thank you so much. I will see you on our next video. Bye-bye.